Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So I want to offer you an invitation right now. This invitation was originally offered to me by someone who worked with me for the last 6 months on and off around embodying more of my feminine energy and coming into financial transformation in my life. And the question is, if you could picture all of your current reality, the current level to which you're able to connect with people, the current capacity you have to do your work, the quality of work that you do, the quality of connection you have to your own sense of purpose, to life itself. If you could project all that out for a moment and just see it in a circle to your left, what does your life look like for the next 5 years? For the next 10 years, if you just continue your life at the exact same frequency, pace, quality of engagement, quality of connection. And at the same time, can you look to the right and project a version of your life, a quality of love, a quality of connection, a quality of purpose that you deeply yearn or desire for in this circle on the right? And I want you to imagine two things. One, what does your life look like if you even could experience that quality of connection and intimacy? And then two, what does your life look like in 5 and 10 years if you were in that level of connection? So I just want you to notice the difference, and you can actually play with standing or stepping into this circle on the left, and then standing or stepping into the circle on the right. And notice if the pace of your heart changes. Notice the differences in the thoughts that come in your head, if there's a difference in the emotions that you feel. And I invite you to notice this tension. If you had one foot in the old circle, the left circle, the current reality, and one foot in the right circle, the future circle, the desired reality, what war comes up in the system? What tension? What fight? Do you feel a pull or a magnetism toward one or the other? Do you feel a sense of resistance? And I want to invite that what would happen if you could actually work with that resistance? So if the goal itself was not to completely let go of or say no to what's happening in the left, maybe you desperately want to, but maybe you feel very attached or comforted by what's happening in the left. So the goal is not to just eliminate what's happening in that left circle. The goal is not just to completely adapt what's happening in that right circle, but the goal or the place of focus or attention becomes in this internal war zone, where there is both acknowledgement of what is happening on the left, while also acknowledgement of the possibility of what's on the right, while also meeting yourself in the relationship between these two worlds. So my name is Livy, and I work with people creatively and on an embodied level. I'm developing a process called creative embodiment through my organization, Elegance Lab. Sometimes those areas of work overlap and sometimes they're separate. And the reason for this is that when we're looking at creativity, we're looking at future and creationism and futurism and what we want to make and create and put forth in the world, what our desires are guiding us toward. And when we're working with embodiment, we're working with some of that, where we want to go, but also working with where the body is stuck or trapped or locked in patterns based on things that happened in the past, so that we can actually live more presently in the future and take steps toward these future visions, but also acknowledge the way that the past continues to live through our bodies. And this creates a change, a transition in the way that we work on development, expansion, and change, which is rather than just focusing on transforming the thoughts, we want to work with the body, we want to work with the lived experience, and we want to invite in imagination, new timelines, new stories. And this is why I use an Elegance Lab in my work, both in creative consulting and in embodiment work, the image of the spiral. In both places, I work with you to get clear on your 0 to 1. The spiral is inspired by the Fibonacci sequence, a line of numbers that works from 0 to infinity by adding all the numbers before it. So the process of change, instead of looking at one step at a time, looks at one step, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, building upon the progress made before, with hyper attention to the smallest change that will make the biggest difference. This is different from the world that we live in now, where many things are in a 12-step process. I have regard for the 12-step process, so there's nothing against that. But in 12-step, 5-step, 2-step, 2 month, 2 day. With Elegance Lab, what we'll work with is cycles. So you can work with me for a month, you can work with me for 3 months, you can work with me for 6 months. I do think I'll offer it a year long eventually, but right now these are the containers that I work with people on. And the purpose of this is so that we can get very clear on your 0 to 1 step. Container, what we'll be able to do is get clear about your 0 and your 1 step that could make a radical shift in your life, and get very clear about what's happening in your body, what is the current reality if we're working on creativity, and then tapping into that new state that you want to be in, or tapping into that new vision. When we have 3 months, we get 3 cycles in a row. So we'll take that first experience of a cycle and we'll replicate it 3 times total. So this will allow this deepening. The progress then, in this case, it doesn't just work in a linear way. It works in a way where you can continuously deepen or continuously expand, depending on what the aim is and what we're working on. If we're working on embodiment, if we're working on creativity, there's this dual process of deepening and expansion, rooting to rise. And then finally, the 6th month is going to give you that actual 2 seasons, half a year. There'll be a break in between. There'll be really the capacity to work on 2 different flavors or avenues of something. So we'll work in the first 3 months, perhaps more with your personal change. If we're working on embodiment, we'd work more with your personal change in the first cycle, and then with your relationship to others in the second cycle. If we're working on creative work, we'd work more with your relationship to yourself as an embodied leader in the first cycle, and then more with in your work and the expression of your work in its relationship to others in the second cycle. And these will also interplay. So to close this, just want you to reconnect with these 2 circles. Really notice for a moment the ways that things in the past that you've used to work with you, it could have been therapy, it could have been coaching, could have been church, could have been a spiritual environment, could have been a partner, a spouse, things that have allowed you to make some leaps from circle 1 to circle 2, from a past version of you into a deeper version of you. And notice how the quality of being able to be with you in transition has accelerated change for you. Not just someone who could only see the past you, not just someone who only could see where you wanted to go, but someone who could see you right now in your current reality and hold the depth of both truths, that you are infinitely powerful, infinitely capable, your dreams are real, you are believed, and your current despair, your current hardship is also real and believed. And just have a moment of gratitude for people or things that have been able to meet you in that space. And then also a moment of compassion for ways you have not been able to be met. You have not been able to be seen fully in your dreams, or not been able to be seen fully in the ways that things that have happened to you or imprinted you, the ways you've been able to respond to your reality thus far, have kept you small, have kept you restrained or blocked from this dream, this possibility that you see as possible for yourself in love, in life, and purpose. And then just have compassion for where you are right now based on that level of support. We are interrelated beings, and we have so much potential. And we are thirsty and desirous for connection and being held and being seen in our highest esteem, our highest qualities. If you're interested in working in a month-long, 3-month, or 6-month container, you can connect with me, create at lib-hof.com, LIBHOF. You can also visit my website, lib-hof.com. And I'll also begin to be putting out some different meditations weekly, so you can connect back here during the week to just get some of that content, get some of this learning, let yourself nourish, let yourself rest, let yourself be seen, let your body, mind begin to play with this thought of this duality, that I am both. I contain these dreams. I contain these longings. I contain these desires. I contain this potential. I believe in more. I believe myself. And I allow myself to see my current reality. I allow more. I believe myself.